Hello everyone. Today we are going to make a flower shaped cushion. Okay, so just like how we had done earlier also, I had told you that how we can have polyfill filling for it, or you can use scraps of your old t-shirts, or you can cut out from your bedspreads, whatever you have, old fabric, just snip it and you can use it for the filling. Just to let you know that what exactly we are going to do is cushion. Okay, now I made a smaller version of cushion because we have very limited time. So just to sew faster, we are going to make a smaller version of that cushion, but the choice is totally yours. I'd already mentioned whatever size you want to make, you can get a bigger plate to do it, and that's the back side of you. And right now I'll be making a much more smaller than this, like it'll be a size of this, okay? And that can be used as a pin cushion, okay? So this is the actual cushion, and this was the plate I used, okay, to draw my circle. But now for the class, I'm going to go much more smaller circle. Okay. So now all of you, whatever size you want, just bring that this becomes your like your pattern, and get a piece of paper and we're going to draw on it. So any flyer you can use, we don't need to waste paper. We can just use a flyer or whatever you have, a small paper. So just go with your pen. You can take a pen or pencil, but hold your lid or your plate tight and just make a circle. So now once the circle is drawn, you need to cut it out with a paper cutting scissor. So now my circle is drawn. So if everybody's with me, I can go further. Okay, what I want now all of you to do, fold your paper into half and do it really nicely, because this is what your triangle size would be. One fold, one more fold. We have to make 6, okay? So it has to be 6. So what right now we have is, okay, so you have it like this. Do one more fold. So now you'll have 8. Okay, 8, but we want 6. So go reach till me when you have 8 like that. Okay, then we'll do the next step. Can you just go and fold it into 3 triangles? So what you need to do, just fold it. Okay, so for me, the first fold is not coming exactly. It's going a little bit away from here. Remember the line I drew? It's coming a little bit outside. It's coming roughly over here. So when I fold it one time, and then I fold it second time, and it's giving me like that triangle, but still I have to be sure that they all have to be equal. So it's all folding up of your paper. So let me, because the problem is all of you don't have the same lid. So I can't even give a measurement to what exactly you should have. So what I'm having is like, see this line, see when I'm folding it into a triangle, my other triangle has to match exactly. Okay, so see this line and this line has to be exact matching over here. It should be folded on where this triangle is falling. So that's why I'll have all 6 of them going equal. I'll be just using one triangle for my measurement. This will give me a good circle. Now, once this is done, I'm just going to mark what exactly, because I had some folds. So I want to be sure where I'm drawing my triangle. Now I'm going to open up because I marked that triangle that I'm supposed to do. So I'm just going to now draw it. Okay, so this is my triangle that I'll be using. Okay, so I'm now going to cut this triangle. Just like how I said, the triangle little bit goes here and there. It's just that you need the 6 pieces. So the symmetry has to come. Otherwise, when you iron it, it can, little bit pucker in between. So that's what the reason we do this folding on a paper, to cut that triangle. So now once this triangle is cut, okay, so this is like basically my 2, 3, 6 sections. So this is my pattern, okay? So 1. Now what I need to do is I have to layer 6 fabrics together, okay? Because we need 6 different prints. So if you have 2 fabrics only, 3 fabrics only, just pile them together, but we need to have 6 layers. I'm just grabbing my fabric. So this is what I have decided to do. So this print one I'm taking, then this is my second print. I'm going for a brighter ones now, like for my, okay, so this is my second one. And now I'm going with the third one. This is the printed over here. You can go anywhere up the right side facing down or wrong side, doesn't matter. You just have to cut that triangle. Just try to save the fabric. What I'm trying to do, I'm just trying to take the corners. Okay, I'm not wasting the whole fabric. You can, and there's nothing top side, bottom side of the print. It doesn't matter. It's just a small pieces. Okay, so I have 3 already put over there. So I'm going for the 4th one. You can take any. This has to be no matching. That's the beauty of it. So if I'm putting it, I'm just being sure that it fits in my pattern. So now I have this last print. So now I'm going to put it face down because I need to draw my triangle. Now, once you have this, okay, you have all these layers put like that. I want you to put your piece of paper, but just remember this piece of paper will have a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now I'm going to teach you that how you to keep seam allowance outside your pattern. Okay, so now when you'll be placing this, check all your layers, pin it up. Before pinning it up, just see that you should have some space around it. Okay, because we have to draw a 1/4 inch after this pattern. Okay, that's your stitching line. Stitching, this is your triangle is your stitching line. It's a seam allowance. So for your sewing. So I'm going to just pin it up first because I'm not too sure whether I'll have my seam allowance. I want a 1/4 inch because it's 6 layers. It can go very risky. You may not be able to catch, have the seam allowance. So be sure. So now how do I check that? Do I have seam allowance? Just hold it a 1/4 inch away like this and check your layers. Are all 6 layers coming under this? Okay. But after a 1/4 inch, you can use your ruler or your measuring tape. Hold your pen. 1, 2, 3, 4. So see, I'm not catching my bottom fabric. Like this print, I'm not catching it. So I moved it a little bit upwards. So I am now still not catching it. So it means I just have to move this print fabric a little bit outside. Or you can move your pattern or move this fabric.
Is it okay if I have different type of fabrics like cotton and thicker or thinner fabric?
Thicker, thinner is no problem. But when you are actually sewing it, the machine doesn't take all the thick fabrics. Because when you're sewing these triangles, they all are going to merge together at the center and your needle is not going to go through. Yeah, so now I think so I should be good. So I am going to now draw my pattern. Yeah, I think so my triangle is set good. So you can use your pen, okay? Use your pen and mark it. Because pen has got a sharper edge, okay, to hold it and hold your paper really tight to draw your line. So now my triangle is done. So I'm just going to pull it out. So see, when I'm folding my triangle, see, that's the way it should be. The lines should match. Okay, see, because you'll be sewing all these triangles with each other. These lines really has to match once you do your cutting of the paper. Just to cross check that is your really line that is matching. It has, both these lines have to be same measurement. So once you have that, I want all of you to, before you pick it up, I want you to pin it nicely and leave it flat because now we need to draw our seam allowance. Now seam allowance is a 1/4 inch, your 1 foot sewing all around your triangle. So now I want you to draw that a 1/4 inch line using your pen only, okay? And extend that line, okay? Don't finish it over here where your triangle is. Extend it because we need to draw a 1/4 inch line for this one. So use your ruler. If you don't have this, you don't have a transparent, just do 1, 2, 3 dots and draw a straight line. So you need to have like that. Let's go to again a straight line because this is a curve, okay? So the curve, we'll do it later on. So let's do like now a seam allowance. Seam allowance is for your stitching, okay? So you keep extra seam allowance. You can't do this in the paper because it doesn't work like that. You have to have a separate have an actual pattern of this and then you keep your seam allowance. It doesn't work if you do it. You can, if you feel that you are very uncomfortable doing it on the fabric, you can use this as a pattern and keep it on a paper. So now when we are doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance, it's a curve. So you just keep on doing little by little. First, I'll do this corner. So when you're doing this corner, it should be like an L shape. Corners are always L shaped. Okay. It's like pivoting your needle and going. Never go like this in a corner, because this is a straight corner. Like, see, it's a 90-degree angle. So we should also have a seam allowance with a 90-degree angle. Okay. Going like this, and I'm drawing the next 1/4 inch. And now I'll keep on doing my 1/4 inch. Now you don't have a transparent ruler. You can just go with your regular ruler and make your lines like this, a 1/4 inch, okay, for a curve. Always go close, okay? See, I'm not doing then my curve won't come. I'm making such small marking so that I get my curve really nice for a circle. So now I'm about to reach the other corner. I'm going to go and measure my 1/4 inch. So I have drawn my all sides, the seam allowance is done. Now I'm ready for the cutting. And now with my seam allowance, I'm still going to check it, that did I catch the fabric? I know I have the fabric over there, but check all your layers with this, okay? That are you having all the 6 layers, 3, 4? See, I'm still not catching that other yellow fabric. So I'm just going to move this fabric up, my pattern up. Actually, that yellow fabric, I took it right at it's a very small piece. And just like how I said, you can move your fabrics because you've already done the pattern, but check all of them should have that seam allowance. Because once you do that seam allowance, then see my fabric, it was working, the triangle working so good in this section, but now it's not working. So I need to now replace it. So if I pulled out a fabric, I'll just put it in the bottom, the last layer, even though it was in between, I can bring it here. Generally what we do, we cut these scraps into smaller pieces, not like bring them all together, but mine, all these are like new good fabric. So that's, I don't want to cut from them. Pin it up, and then now you can start cutting it. Smoothen it nicely. So you shouldn't feel any bulk when you're cutting it. Okay, so 6 triangles are cut. Put your fabric back. So now once you have it, you can always check back. Okay, if in case you have the triangles are not cut out good, you can always have a pattern. You can go back, and if in case the 6 on them are not cut, you are missing some part in one of the triangle, you can always go back and cut. Okay. So for me, I think so all 6 look good from everywhere. I do see with the seam allowance, they have cut okay. So now once I have this, so now what you need to do, you pick up any color thread. I'm going to do a backing of this color. I'm just going to thread my machine with the green color. So all of you, whatever you want to thread, because this is multicolored, I can even go, I have a beige on the machine, so I can go with the beige also. But just like how I said, I'm going to do the outside color. So let's go with the green one. So my green bobbin is already filled in. The beige one, the previous one was a beige. That's what I used before the class to make a sample. Green is a little bit brighter one, so I made a pastel colors, but now this one will be a more darker and brighter colors. Okay, so now what we need to do is, we have all these triangles over here. So now you can open them up, and the choice is yours, how you want to put them, okay, place them. So you just open them one by one, just like how I said, what color combinations you want next to each other, that's totally your own choice. Okay, so these are all my right sides. Okay, now when I see reds, you can alternate them, go into the opposite side if you want the red to come like this and go like this. I'll have the 2 yellows, the cream beige ones, okay, and then 2 have reds and blues. So I'm okay with this. So once you are okay with this, now you can start lifting up one by one. Now, when you're lifting up, remember I had made you put the seam allowance a 1/4 inch. That's exactly what we are going to do. But whenever we are sewing a triangle like this, let's first tackle these two pieces. Now, when we're going to sew it, this is what our circle is, okay? So this one has to be sewn in till the end with a back stitch. But the inside part, we are not going to start sewing from the tip, okay? This is not the way when you are going to do so many triangles. It doesn't work. When you start sewing from till the tip, it doesn't work. So now this center section has to be unsewn. Now, how that section is unsewn is, now see, when I made my pattern with this one. So let's talk with this part, okay? So now when you'll see, I have my triangle over here. This is the point. And now my stitching has to start from here only, not from here. So when I'm saying when my stitching is going to start from here means that when I will bring this piece together, okay, so this is my right side and this is the right side of my print, right side facing right. So when I'll be sewing, I'm first of all going to pin them together. So that, see, my pinning has to be really good because I need a proper circle once it's done. So I'm going to pin on this line, but just remember the other pieces won't have this line. If you want, you can make that line if needed. But just like how I said, we have to use the presser foot to find out the measurement. We don't have to draw this line. But for the first one, I'm giving an example that why we have to leave this open, because you have to join all these triangles together. So this part will be sewn with the back stitch completely down, but this one we are going to start our sewing in this section, not this part. This is open, okay? So this section will be open. I'll put my foot over here, like the needle inside, go and do back stitch till here, and then start my sewing over here. So this part is not going to get sewn at all. Let me do the demo on the machine, and then you can go from there. So now I'm putting it on the machine. So this is where my needle should go, but I have to do my back stitch. That's why I'm starting a little bit away from here. And I'm going to leave my needle inside and then start sewing my 1/4 inch and do my back stitch. And the same we are going to follow for all the triangles, the same procedure. But this triangle, for this, I'll be showing you how to do it for the next piece. You need to do it, okay? But just this much part we'll need, not the whole line as we have drawn, okay, initial. Let's start the machining, okay? So now the sewing part will be just a back stitch, okay? So you set up your needle with the machine and just do one and two, just two points are good enough because these are very small triangles. So even 2 is good enough, 2 or 3 max. And now I want you to sew. Okay, just your the 1 foot is your 1/4 inch. But now in this one, the first piece, you already have a line. You need not worry, just follow the line and do your back stitch when you come finish. So now I've reached my thing and I'm just going to do my back stitch. Okay, so 1 and 2 time is good enough. That's it. For these small pieces, you can do it manually. The back stitch, just move your hand wheel towards you and press or if you have a push button for your back stitch, you can do that. Now take this piece out and cut off your thread. Leave the end longer because you have to again come back and sew. Just snip off the extra threads. So these threads keep on troubling you because you have to keep on sewing. So now this piece is done. I've already finished sewing this. So you can just flatten it like this. Once this is done, now you have to continue the next one. So this was my original. This is my second piece. And then my next piece was this one. So now I need to bring it face to face and start matching from the circle part, the curve part. Before you pin it, I just remembered we have to do that, the stitching part, okay? So we have to draw that triangle. So now that triangle over here, so this stitching is already done. You see it over here, the stitching is already done. I want you to keep your ruler a 1/4 inch over here, 1/4 inch, and draw only this part, okay? We need this part only. Because remember, we had to sew on this triangle part. So this triangle part, this stitching was already there. You just have to measure a 1/4 inch from here. Okay, you measure your 1/4 inch, and put your mark, and then you can draw your straight line. So the straight line, just like how I said, you just need to draw over here, and then your presser foot will guide you with a 1/4 inch. Okay, but this is just the starting point. You'll know where I need to start. So So now you hold your next fabric and you go face to face with this. Okay, but just remember, this is your curve part. So this is where the tip has to go with the matching like this, but you hold and pin it up from the bottom, the curve part, because this is very important. Whether your triangle meets up or not doesn't matter, but your curve has to be in a good circle. So you start matching from down and you pin up. So now you already have that line. So just match with this fabric. See, I'm matching with this one. I'm pushing this first one aside because now I need to match these two fabrics. Go on the machine and put the needle over here and come back to that tip, and then you start sewing on this line. This line means there's no line, but just follow that small line and then follow your presser foot edge. And now you start sewing. Go with your presser foot a 1/4 inch. And when you're going 1/4 inch, be sure that you're catching both the layers together. And now my back stitch. Okay, so now that triangle has been sewn in.
Yeah, for this one, did you start from the point and then come up to the circle?
Yeah, so basically that's what, Claudette, we need to do. See, this is the triangle, the tip. Remember when I drew it? So this is actually where the machine should stop. See, one stitch it went ahead, but that's fine. When I was doing my back stitch,
Okay, so
it went one stitch ahead. But see, this is so all this has to be open. See, all this has to be open. So whenever we are doing any kind of a triangle stitching, we don't go till the end. It doesn't work. So now when we are doing it, see, now these 2-3 pieces are attached, sewn in like this. So you do see this one is going shorter. Okay. This one is going shorter because it automatically happens. When it's sewn in, but when you will be doing in the end, you'll have a circle matching with all of them in a circle. I'm always starting from my triangle top part, never from the down. Why? Because this triangles has to match, but when I'm pinning up, I'm trying to match it from the bottom, but wherever it's finished pinning up, I am going to start from there so that when automatically this gets matched. But our stitching always has to be from the triangle part, okay? Never from down, yeah. It doesn't work because over there, what happens, these 2-3 fabrics, they interfere. When you start from the bottom, there's no interference over here, it's no headache. But once you come up over there, all these, when you'll have 6 of them, they keep on coming in between and then pleating. So now this part is done. Now let's open up, okay? So now let's go, this red was the last one, which we did. So now I have to attach it now with the next color. Remember, we have to draw that a 1/4 inch from here. Just a small line. That's what I'm saying. It's just an indicator that you are going to go straight, like good. So that's why I just do that small line. So that small line. Even if you match it with your needle, it works. It's not that necessary that you have to. But I've seen it can, for beginners, it can become an issue. So just do this guideline for yourself. And now once you have that guideline, this is my right side. Okay, this is my right side now. Now I'll grab the right side of the next triangle and I'm just going to again start pinning up from down. So right side facing right for the next print. So now this is done. Now your next triangle. 5 pieces are done. Now the last one is left. Let's put the last one now. I'm going to make my 1/4 inch. Be sure that you're going right side facing right. Sometime accidentally, you grab it. So now you have a circle like that. So what you need to do before you do the last seam, generally what happens, suppose our seam has not gone 1/4 inch. It can go uneven, just like how I said, even we experience sewers or something are cutting on the fabric must have gone wrong, or when we have sewn it may not have been 1/4 inch. It could have been 1/8 of an inch or whatever it has happened. It's okay. So it's the last when the seam that we can actually do it right now, but it's a good idea when you iron it, you flatten it, and if it's not matching, it's not giving like it's giving folds, pleating over here, you can always do a top stitching. So I would rather want all of you to do a top stitching because I've seen it becomes a problem. So we'll be doing a top stitching for the final one. Okay, it'll be hidden under your thread, and just like this thread I've taken a little bit thin, we can go thicker also if in case you want to cover up that sewing part. Okay, so once you have it like this, I want all of you to go on the wrong side. First, iron it from the wrong side, flatten it from the wrong side. And wherever your direction is going, just go them in the same direction, okay? If it's ironing like this, whatever it's going the direction, let it go naturally, because when we'll be sewing with the other fabric, it has to be natural way, okay, of flattening the seams. We don't have to flatten like, so you start pushing all of them towards your opening, okay? So when you'll be ironing, just bring it towards your opening. So when we'll be sewing this final one, at least there won't be any pleating, it'll be flat, okay? So iron like that way. I'll show you the ironing part also. So now first I'm going to iron it from the wrong side. So just iron like that. So keep on flattening in a circle. So you come towards that side. So see how I just iron them like, you know, in one side. So just you can go like that, flatten them like nicely. And now you can go on the right side. So right side, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to hold this and start ironing. And when I'm ironing it, I'm just pulling them out so that really the seam opens up nicely. Okay, keep on opening up. So don't go straight like that, because then it doesn't work. You just have to go a triangle each like that. So keep on pulling them towards one direction. So now I've reached that opening part. Okay. So now I can just flatten it. I'm just pulling out the iron. I'll need it one more time when I'll be sewing it with the solid color. So now once you reached over here, what I want all of you to do, that this is now the opening. Push it nicely inside like that and flatten it. You can either sew it on the top like that, or if you are comfortable enough and if you feel that my triangle is good, you can just try it. Okay, just pin it and be sure of it before you start off. Otherwise, if you feel that it's after pinning up, it's not falling nicely, it's giving pleating, you can do the top stitching like how I showed it. Pin it up exactly at a 1/4 inch, put 2 pins, and then open up and see, is it falling flat for you, that section? If it's falling flat, like see how I see it, good. It's not giving me any pleating anywhere. So do you see it like this? If you're comfortable, then you can go ahead and sew exactly like how we sewed the triangles. But if you feel it's not working out, you can open up your seam, the stitching out, okay? Just open it out, okay? If it's, you feel, if it's more, the triangle is much more bigger than what you actually thought. So what you can do, you can put any portion flat and then just fold it wherever you feel if the circle is going to go flat on the tabletop. Okay, so just flatten it and then you can pin it up from outside. So pin it up from outside like that. That's what actually I did for my sample, because I was a little bit worried that in case your stitching has not come out. So I'm not even seeing whether it's 1/4 inch, it's 1/2 inch, I don't care. I'm just pinning it up because I want the circle to fall flat. But if in case it's your 3/8 or this thing, it's fine. So what you can do your top stitching on this section. But if it's good, that 1/4 inch, then just stitch from inside, how we had done other triangles. So I'm going to do from inside because it worked out good after my ironing, but nothing wrong even if you do on the top side edge stitching, because my camera is so strong, it shows the good stitching, but from distance, these stitching lines, it doesn't show. It depends on how much it's matching with your fabric for the last piece. So now this one I'm just going to do. So I already have my triangle over here, but I'll be sewing from this section. So I'm going to do my 1/4 inch. Okay, so I've done my 1/4 inch. I'm still going to pin it up nicely from the bottom. I'll go on the machine and do my final triangle sewing. All my 6 triangles have been sewn in. So I'm just going to give a little bit ironing on that section. My iron is still warm. So for that last triangle, just iron it. Okay, so now my whole circle is done. So the 6 patches are already sewn in. Now I have to cut a solid one for the backing of my cushion. Okay, so this is what I need to cut. So you already have your pattern over here. So go on the solid fabric, printed fabric, whatever you're taking now, you'll be just doing one circle. Okay, no triangles anymore for the backing. So let's just bring that, whatever you have the fabric. You can draw a circle. Okay, so put it right side facing right. Okay, put it right side facing right of your fabric and do your circle with a pen. I have an invisible marker. I'm going to use that. And now when you're going to do it, just put 1 or 2 pins so that it doesn't move when you're doing your circle. Go very small, drawing your lines close to it. Now, when you have drawn like this, we have to have a 2-inch opening. Okay, so let's mark a point right now only for 2 inches. Okay, so you have to have an opening. We'll be stitching the whole circle with the 2-inch opening. So mark anywhere. Try not marking at the seam section because you have to hand sew it. So just do it anywhere like in between the triangle. So go 2 inches with the opening where you have to fill your polyfill inside. And what I like doing is, because now that you've drawn your circle, you'll be cutting that and you'll be lifting this out. I want you to match it with the actual fabric. Why? Because when you'll be bringing this one to sew it together, it has to match. It could be possible that your triangle is not cut properly. So it's not going to match with your solid once you remove your pattern. So whatever you've done, your 2-inch marking, do that marking even on the solid one. Okay, let it match. So after I'll finish cutting the whole thing, I'm going to bring it, match it, and then start sewing. So it's a good idea to do it especially when you're doing a lot of pieces sewn in together. Sometime when it gets rotated, it may not match with that circle. So just to be sure we have it good. Now you can take it out and let's cut the green section or the solid fabric. And this you have to go exactly, no seam allowance needed for this one. Now the cutting is done. So bring in your seam where you had matched, remember the marking for the opening, bring it like that and just put it on it. Okay, match your sides. Once it's good, you can pin it. And now we need to start sewing again, a 1/4 inch sewing. So this is my opening. So I'm going to start my sewing from here, go back stitch and do a 1/4 inch sewing all around. Okay, come over here and do my back stitch. And now we need to bring it inside out. Okay, so just, this is my opening and you push it out with your finger. So now what you need to do is, just push it out with the pencil or a screwdriver. I use a screwdriver, not the pointy one. It's a 4-way screw. Okay, I just try like pushing it nicely out. Okay, the circle part. It allows me to go, with the curve. That's why I like it. So you can just go, because the pencil gives a point. We have to go in a circle. Okay, so everything, just take it out like that. If you feel the circle is troubling, you can trim it off a 1/8 also, but it's not needed because we are just going to iron it. Okay, so once this is done, we need to iron the whole thing now. And before ironing, I want you to find the center of the circle, okay, because we need to take it out in the center. So just measure, not from the opening part. Okay, let's do like this. Okay, so just one end to the other end and find the center. Or you can iron it and you can find the center then also. The center we need actually for the needle to come out from there. Okay, so I'm just going to iron it and flatten the whole thing. So when you have to iron the whole, just go from the opening and flatten the seam. So you have to really pull it out nicely. Okay, and now you go and iron the whole thing. We still have to do the opening. You can close the opening and iron too. It's okay, like whatever you're comfortable. Okay, so for all of you, if you don't have this polyfill, because it's a small cushion, you can do the cutting. Remember, I taught you for the pin cushion, original one. You can just use that to make clippings. And I know Vijaya has got this, from the old pillow. She already has. So just stuff it in and then you keep on pushing it with your finger. Okay. This is a ready-made from the market, so it doesn't need pulling up. But when you have an old pillow or cushion, then you need to separate it out. Keep on separating it out because with washing and the dampness, sweating and all, they clog together. Okay, so you can just do that. But this one is comfortable enough. You just have to push it in. Okay, you do it with your finger or you can push it with the screwdriver, whatever you're comfortable. And do a tight stuffing, because for that sample, I just used less because I never wanted to waste and go and buy more polyfill. So that's why I didn't stuff it so tight, but this one we can go tight because then it'll give a flower petal shape much more better when you're pulling it. Thanks. So I keep on stuffing it, like pulling it till the end. So what you need to do, just with your finger, feel it and push it everywhere, around when you're doing it. before you do the final closing. Just see that it's gone everywhere and it's padded like nicely. See, it's looking cute without any thread or anything also. You just can put a button, but it's just that I thought I'll teach you something, different to do. Okay, so now you have your, okay, so that you see the padding is good enough, like, okay, so it's good. So then you have your opening and now you can start sewing that part. And just like how I said, you fold in your 1/4 inch because it has to look like a circle. And once I do it, I just a little bit stretch it and put pins to make it comfortable for me to do my hand sewing. So once the pinning up is done, you can start now your hand sewing. Now what happens when I'm doing it like this, you have to keep on checking the stuffing because sometimes it gets flattened over here. So just after you do your final stitch, you can just a little bit adjust it with a screwdriver or something and push the stuffing to the corner. So now you have the opening starting from here. Do your slip stitch. I don't have to show it. You people know how to do your slip stitch. So let me go a little bit fast. Okay, so you're just putting in your needle in between the folds. Okay, so now you're reaching your last part. So just a little bit push your pen or pencil, whatever you have, and push the stuffing a little bit to where you had already done your hand sewing. Now you've reached your end. You can just do your 2-3 times and just take your needle out. So cut off your thread. Okay, so now once your triangle is, all this is done together, now what you need to do, you take a needle. Okay, now this needle, I have a thicker one because I'm going to use thicker threads, okay? But I don't know if you people haven't got this thicker one, you can go for a thinner long needle or grab your regular needle and just, I don't know what all you have. I had mentioned in my list that if you people can get threads or wool, because wool is also thick enough, and you can use it. Okay, so I'm going to show it. So once you have that, you can put it in the needle. Now I've done six of them. This will go on. I used actually three single one, but I've seen that seam. It still a little bit shows. It has to be a little bit thicker. I'll just show with one thread because it's the opening, the little bit narrower. Okay, so I'm just going with one single. So once you have this, so what you can do, like you have this center, remember the center, I told you to find the center, but we are going to start from here. Why? Because this will, the button over here is going to hide my knot, the starting knot. Okay, so I'm just going to put it over here. So you can just grab it, just 1-2 layers, whatever works good for you, because the knot would be hidden inside. Okay, and then what do I need to do to give this petal shape? I need to pull this thread. Okay, pull it. So I'm just going to bring it from this is my starting point, okay, and I'm going to bring it around like this. See, on the seam, I'm going to bring it out like this, and I'm going to go in that center hole, okay, center hole, and bring my needle out from this center. So it's like going through all those layers. So it's going to come out over here, and I'm going to tug it. Now this is where it is how deep you want the petal to go, okay, how much pull you want the petal to have. That look. So see now see, this is the part where that pull has to come. Okay, so when I keep on pulling it, see my thing shape goes inside. See, when I'm pulling it, my circle is going to go inside. See how it gives that shape. So this is the circle, the shape that we want. So this is the pulling that really is needed, okay, to give that shape. So once that is done, so I'm happy with that shape, I say, okay, I pulled it enough, as much as I wanted it. Then you hold it like this and you hold it tight and you make a small stitch so that you get that stitch finalized, okay, for that. So you put it in the fabric and pull it tight, okay, and now you've got it good. Okay, you pulled it really nice and tight. Now you can go for the next one. Okay, so the next one, when you're doing it, now you have to go like this to the next. Okay, so this is my first one. I'm going now to the next triangle, but at the same time, I'm not loosening my grip. Okay, you have to keep it tight And now let me go to the other section and come out from the same hole. Okay, all this can be adjusted later on, but you keep it tight and you put it back in the same hole and bring it out. Okay, so bringing out is, you don't have to follow any hole. It has to be somewhere closer to it. That's it. Okay, you pull it. So now my pulling is done for the other section, and how much ever you want the pull to be. Okay, so that is done. Now that pulling, I can little bit entwine inside this, okay, the threads. That's just so that your thread gets held up nicely, okay? That's why I'm intertwining. Intertwining, if you don't do it, then these threads tend to move other direction. But when you, once you finish it, you just bring it under one thread and then put it back inside, okay? So you do this, so your 2 petals are done. Now you can move to the next one. Next one is over here. Again, pull it. Take your needle out and bring it again. So basically it's just pulling, and how much rounded you want it to look, it's totally it depends upon the pull that you're doing. So see, this is how much inside you want to pull it, and it goes in. So do the same thing for all of them. But bring them to your triangle. And again, just like how I said, you pulled it, bring it inside this and loop it, okay? Because when you're going for the next one, it has to be looped. Otherwise, this thread tends to move in the other direction. So once you have this, now again, pull it, adjust this pull, and now push it back again to the same hole. So from this, my center is remaining the same point. I have to, because I'm not going to put in the button. Yeah, I can put it on even over here also, but it's okay. Like even a solid back also looks good. All my 6 sections are done. So this is now my back side, okay? So 6, see, you can now see actually the flower shape like from the back side. So this is now my flower. It's done. So the flower is done. So now what I can do, I can now finish off with this. Okay, now I can put my button. For the button, you can just use your regular thread. See all my triangles, see the thread is on my triangle, the seams. I'm happy with this. Okay, I can now lock my thread so that it stays like the threads don't come out. Okay, once it's cut off. Okay, so you just do it 2-3 times. My thread was short, it came out, but I just did it one time. So you just lock it, you know how I've shown you always to do it. So just lock that up, because for me, the button will also hold it. So I'm just cutting off thread a little bit longer because my button is going to hide it. So now this is done. Now I'm going to put my button on it. Always use a flat button because then it doesn't hurt you. Okay, so I can put a button here. I can put a button here also. Okay, so you can do both the sides if you want to. So this has got 4 holes, that has got 2 holes. Okay, so let's thread the needle, and this I need a double thread, and I'm going to, you go with the red thread or you can go with the green thread. It can go contrast also. I'm going to go contrast. Okay, so double it, knot it. Okay, now let's start first with the top one. So I'm just going to use my red button over here. Okay, so now once you have to do your button, you just first hide your knot in the center. I'm just going to use a thimble because it needs some pushing. Hide your knot underneath. Take your the top button. Right now, I'm not involving the green one. Okay, just going to tackle this 1-2 times, and then we're going to work with the bottom one too. That we can do simultaneously with this one. But first, be sure that this is going in the center of your cushion. And you can go a little bit loose in your stitch. We can do like how we did for the coat button. We can do the same thing for this one also. So that the button goes a little bit raised up. You can go flat also. It's nothing, just like how I said, no hard and fast rule. It still looks good. Okay, so I'm just going to do one more time, like make 2 crosses, and then I'm going to tackle the bottom button. When you leave your button a little bit loose, you can at least grip it nicely. Now what I'm doing is I've done my 1 stitch like that. Okay, this is my 3rd one. Now I'm going to involve my bottom button. Okay, so let me take my needle out from the center. Once this is a little bit fixed, let me take the needle out from the center. Okay, see my needle is already out from the center. I'm going to take it out and pull it nicely. Okay, my top button is nicely done. Now I'll be involving both the buttons. Okay, so now this is there. Now for the second button. If you don't have a second button, you just have to fix it on the, just like how I did for this one. Keep on doing 4-5 times, but Claudette wanted to learn how we can do the button simultaneously on the other side. This is generally we do for the coats also. They have inside button, and inside they have a small shirt button so that the knots and everything doesn't show. Okay, so now we are going to do it over here. So let's put this inside, and now I'm putting it inside, going completely out and trying to take it out from this hole. So I need to really find it out. Just like how I said, my button is a little bit loose, I can find it. Even if I don't find it, I can take my needle out and find the area where I can put it inside. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can simultaneously do. So if you feel it's because the button is bigger in size, you can't find it. And see, now this has got fixed, but still I have to make it much more stronger. So I'll be doing it now simultaneously with both the buttons. So now I have already made my third one over here. So the fourth one I'm trying to do from my other hole so that it doesn't show like I have to balance it like two crosses, like two lines like that. Okay. So see, at the same time, be sure that it stays in the center. Now I'm pushing it completely down. Now it needs to come out from here. Okay. Again, just like how I said, you can see the spacing in between. Try to take your needle out. Okay. Because these are small cushions. When you have a big cushion, you need that long. It's called a sack needle. Okay, that's a sack needle. When you do sack in our countries, we always have sack. Those are long needles like this. They're really long. So now I have it over here. Now I can bring it inside the hole. Pull it. Okay, and again now I can come from the other side. So if you feel that you don't want any more over here, you've already done 4. So you can finish 2 over here because see, we are not going to wash this cushion. Now take it out and finish it. So you're done. Okay. So finish it like 2-3 times, loop it. And if in case you want, just like remember, I told you if you want the button to look raised, I'm going to show you that also, just like how we did for the coats. So you take it out like this. And remember for the coat button, how we hold the button like this and we keep on circling inside to give a raised look. Okay, so this we have done. So the same time it becomes stronger. Now I didn't do for the red one. Let's push it inside like this and do for the red one also the same thing. Okay, and we are done. For the last one, now let's just circle it. You can do it much more time because this is a thinner thread, but just like how I said it, just to give a little bit raised effect, it's good enough. Now let's close it completely. Cutting off the thread. Remember, I've taught you a new method. Just travel your needle inside and cut it. Okay, and your thing is done. Your 2 different sized mini cushion and a pin cushion.